Well, it was bound to happen. Amazon dropped a deuce of a Lord of the Rings series. Nobody liked it, so of course it's racism. That's why. So this is going to be one of those ranty videos where I'm just going to kind of talk about what I'm seeing going on and just give my opinion on it. So moving on. Racist to Backlash Rings of Power puts Tolkien's legacy into focus. So this is the narrative they're trying to paint for people not liking the Lord of the Rings Rings of Power show. So we're going to ignore the fact that it just pretty much ignores the source material altogether. We're going to ignore the fact that they invented a bunch of characters that really nobody has just really taken to. We're going to ignore the fact that the main character, Galadriel, is a completely unrelatable, poorly written, terrible waste of a character, one of the worst characters I've seen in fiction. We're going to ignore the fact that it was just really boring. We're going to ignore all of that, all of its flaws, and focus on the reason it's bad is because it's racist. And this goes into something that I like to just refer to as the protocol. We've seen this before, and honestly, once you start to recognize it and see it when it happens, then you start to identify in our pop culture what is worth your time and what isn't. Because notice things that are worth your time, they don't have to go this route even when they do have this kind of backlash against them, because it can survive on its own merits. When it can't survive on its own merits, it tries to guilt you into helping it survive and giving it time and giving it attention. So let's go into what is the protocol. Well, the protocol is this. You're going to take a popular IP. You're going to decide you're going to make whatever movie, show, fill in the blank. You're going to stray away from it. You're going to cram it full of your own politics. You're going to put your own message forward writing into it at the expense of the plot, at the expense of the characters, at the expense of the story. You're going to put it out. Nobody's going to like what you're selling, and you're going to point fingers at everyone but yourself. It's going to be because of toxic fans, and usually the go-to trump card these days is it's because of racist fans. It's a racist backlash. It's not possibly my own terrible creative decisions. It's the fact that everyone's racist and they just don't see my enlightened genius. Then the next thing they do is they're going to point to some internet and Twitter hate, which, quite frankly, if I looked right now, I could probably find a lot of internet and Twitter hate about the brand of deodorant I use. But still, so you're going to highlight those few bad actors as representative of the entire fan base. And then you're going to try to get sympathy, and you're going to try to paint a picture of, if you don't like this show, then you're going to be lumped in with these people, and you don't want to be one of them. You better give the show a chance, and you better like it, and you better virtue signal that you like it on social media, lest you be lumped in with the deplorables over here on this side of the aisle. Then you just kind of get your series canceled because it never gains traction, and then you repeat with a brand new IP. This is the trend. They did it with Obi-Wan. They've done it with The Last Jedi. They've done it with several Marvel shows. This is always the trend. It's racism, 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 toxic fandom. Not we're bad creators. Not we wasted money on a stupid endeavor and put forth a product that really nobody asked for or wanted. Not the fact that we put our own biases, our own messaging, and our own agenda ahead of things like story, ahead of things like character, ahead of things like plot development, ahead of things like character arcs. No, all of those things are so far down the list we can't even see them, because the number one thing we want to alert people to is social consciousness, diversity in casting, and whatever else agenda I have. The story can come later. I have my list of grievances that I want to put forth and I want to put in everybody's face, and then I will craft a story to fit whatever narrative that I have in my head as far as my perception of the world around me. And that's what we're seeing with this Lord of the Rings show, and it's really sad, especially coming from a network as big as Amazon, or a company as big as Amazon for that sake. They don't need, well, with as much money as they sunk into the show, yeah, I guess they do need it to succeed, and they're probably going to lose a lot of money. This show, based on its fan reaction, based on everything else, is going to go down in history as probably the biggest flop in entertainment history. I mean, it's going to lose more than that John Carter of Mars movie that Disney took a hit on a few years back, and that's saying something. So, and this is indicative, and this is just going to keep happening. So we just need to be prepared for it. Don't let them goad you. Don't let them bait you into saying something stupid or going online and trying to defend it. You don't have to defend your point of view. We know it's bad. The people who have seen it know it is bad. This show is not going to be able to sustain the viewership to keep going forward. Yes, I know it got a substantial amount of viewers on the first round, but that was because a lot of people are going in there and they're watching either because of curiosity, they're watching because they've heard it's such a train wreck, and just like an accident on the side of the road, you got to slow down and watch. There's a lot of reasons, but you know what? I watched both episodes of this drivel. There is nothing that makes me want to come back and see another episode. So I don't think I'm going to be talking a lot more about this. I don't plan on watching the other episodes unless, I find myself sick in bed with absolutely nothing to watch. Maybe I'll watch it just to make myself feel worse. I don't know, put myself out of my misery or forget the pain that I'm in. But the other thing that it's happening, the reason I know this is going to happen again, is because Hollywood's not going to learn this lesson. They're going to keep going with this. And the thing that they need to understand is the fans are becoming very almost hypersensitive to this kind of stuff. So if you're planning on race switching a character or gender swapping a character, whatever you want to do, just understand that this trick is not only is played out and has gotten extremely old, but when a fan base smells even a hint of like agenda or wokeness or race baiting or whatever you want to put it as in a casting, if you get a great actor to play a part of a role, especially when it comes to a medium that's as visual as comic books, we want to see the comic book brought to life that we know and love on screen. That's what the fans want to see. So when you start deviating from that, they'll accept it to a point. But when you put forth a product that doesn't even resemble what we've grown to love, why am I going to love this interpretation of it? I may not. And it doesn't have to be because you've taken a white character and have them being played by a black actor. That doesn't necessarily march into it, but that does take some of my nostalgia points away as far as my enthusiasm for the project, because my enthusiasm is I want to see the comic book that I fell in love with adapted to a screen. Just like The Lord of the Rings, we wanted to see the source material that we loved adapted faithfully. And take a few liberties with plot and dialogue, that's fine. Throw in a couple of surprises. Fans tend to appreciate it if it's done well, if it's written well, if it makes sense and it's built upon. But you can't just make changes for change's sake. Then when the fans don't like your changes, yell at the fans for not liking your product. It's not our responsibility to love your creative endeavor. It's not our responsibility to instantly accept whoever you cast to play whatever part. It's your responsibility to sell that product to us. It's your responsibility to make us enjoy it. You need to earn our fandom. It's not the other way around. And that's where Hollywood has really lost its step here, is they believe that this fandom and creator relationship that we've enjoyed all these years, they've got this reversed. They think we owe them our support. We owe them our patronage. We owe them our dollars. We owe them our viewership. We do not. It is up to them to sell us whatever product they're trying to do. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of people out there who they just want to see the content. They'll consume it no matter what it is. No matter how bad Star Wars gets, they'll watch the next show. You've got those fans. But if you want to get those, if you want to transcend that, you want to get the fandom excited, if you want to start earning new fans into the franchise, if you want us to go out and support the IP more by, buying products, by supporting action figure lines, clothing lines, whatever, you got to make it worth our while. You got to give us something we want, something we're excited about. So, yeah, I mean, Hollywood, start listening to your fans and start understanding that you've been playing this game for so long that we don't tolerate even a little bit of it. And as soon as we start getting the slightest hint that wokeness, that agenda and race baiting and identity politics and all these other things are going to be driving a story, we will have less interest in it. And our eyes are very wide open to it because we've been burned way too many times by this current slate of quote unquote entertainment that you've been shoveling out at us. I mean, this waterfall of sludge has grown tiresome, and quite frankly, we don't need another, Marvel's Eternals. We don't need another fill in the blank of failed movie and failed IP reboot. We don't need another Cowboy Bebop. We don't need another Last Jedi. I mean, we're done. We're done. And quite frankly, we don't owe you our patronage. If you want us to watch your stuff, if you want us to support your shows, if you want us to go to the movies, give us something to support. Give us something we want to support. Give us something that's exciting to support. And then when it doesn't work, when you misstep, when you deliver something we don't like, don't blame us. It's not our fault. We didn't create it. You did, and it's not our job to force ourselves to like what you're selling. It's your job to give us something that we want that deserves our fandom. And I think it's time we start holding these creators to a higher standard. Don't let them get away with this crap. Don't let them spin you into calling you a racist. Don't let them bait you into having some guilt-ridden reason to go online and say, yeah, I like the show, it's fine, or even to keep watching it because you don't want to be labeled as whatever, ist or phobe they want to put in there as the reason that their story sucked, or the reason that they can't write a character to save their life, or the reason their dialogue is so cringy you would rather just see your nails on a chalkboard for 90 minutes. So keep in mind, you're the fan. They're supposed to be doing this for you. You don't owe them anything. And when you see something come out and it stumbles out the gate and it starts lashing out of the fandom, they are not worth your time. Do not give them another chance. I was contemplating whether or not to review the entire season of Lord of the Rings just for the hilarious gruesomeness of it all. But after this, I have no desire to give them any support or patronage. I don't even want to give them the press. I think talking to them in this video is probably a video too long. But you know what? This is the battlefield that they chose. So that's my opinion on it. So I want to know yours. First of all, obviously the big question, did you like the Lord of the Rings show? And you know what? Side question, are you excited about the casting rumors that are coming out for the new X-Men movie with Denzel Washington as Magneto and all the other stuff? We don't know if it's true or not, but that seems to be the talk of the industry right now. So I think it's a bad idea, personally. I don't really want to see, old Frings from Breaking Bad play Professor Xavier. I don't think that's good casting. He plays a good villain, not a good benevolent school teacher. But, that's what it sounds like they want to do as far as the X-Men movies go. So, already I'm starting to back away from my enthusiasm for the X-Men coming to the MCU. I don't know why. I've been surprised. Nothing in these current phases of Marvel movies or shows has really given me much more than a little bit of mild entertainment. I haven't been excited for much of anything. As far as the Lord of the Rings go and Amazon goes, just, you know what? Shame on you. Shame on you to resorting to these stupid tactics. I thought the same thing when they did it with the Obi-Wan show. I think the same thing here. If this is what you got to, this is the depths you have to go to try to cover your own mistakes and not just admit that you've got terrible, piss-poor writers. I mean, they're the writers of the last season of Game of Thrones. I mean, were you expecting a masterpiece from them? So, let's talk about it in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think of Hollywood trying to just throw its fans under the bus to try to cover up for their mistakes and try to cushion their landing as they fall from such high heights? That wasn't a very good clean transition, was it? All right, let's just leave it there. Obviously, I'm out of things to say, so let's talk about in the comments below. What you think about this protocol? Oh, here's a fun question. See if we can find how many times Hollywood has done this. See how many times we can name something comes out, it's bad, it's racist, or something comes out, it's bad, it's homophobic, or something comes out, it's bad, and it's because of toxic fans. So I'm telling you, it's a pattern. Do you learn to recognize it? There's like some marketing professional out there who makes millions of dollars selling this to studios. They go around and say, okay, so you released a bad movie. First thing you've got to do is you've got to release a statement saying that that's because fans are racist and they review bombed it. Secondly, scour the entire internet, find your 6 most toxic comments, because Lord knows there's not much toxicity on the internet, right? Find those comments, put them front and center, and make them representative of the entire fan base. That's step 2. Step 3, slowly, quietly cancel the property. Step 4, move on to James Bond or whoever Amazon wants to ruin next. So, that's it. Let's talk about it in the comments below. While you're down there, do all the usual stuff. Hit like, subscribe, share the video with your friends. Like I said, subscribe. I'd love to have you here. The channel's been really growing lately, and I love this community that we are, and I'd love to see it keep going. So, that's it. I'm going to leave it there, and I will talk to you on the next video. See you then. Bye.